CM Punk breaks his silence for the first time on the All Elite Wrestling drama during a stint on MMA commentary last night. Plus, speaking of Punk, he has been removed from the cover art of the AEW Fight Forever video game. Athena turned heel on AEW Rampage last night. Full Gear, we got the latest on ticket sales, spoilers, and some possible surprises for this evening's pay-per-view event. Plus, a WWE Target was backstage last night at AEW Rampage. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of AEW. And let's start off talking about CM Punk. Of course, tonight is AEW Full Gear live on pay-per-view. We'll have reaction from this evening's show. But first, we have to talk about one person that definitely won't be there. That is the former two-time AEW World Champion, CM Punk. He is still currently suspended. He is still currently recovering from surgery. He's still persona non grata when it comes to AEW. And he has broken his silence, kind of, when it comes to the drama between himself, AEW, Tony Khan, Kenny Omega, and the Young Bucks. CM Punk has finally broken his silence on the drama between himself, All Elite Wrestling, and reportedly the entire locker room, at least the majority of it, for the first time since the incident after All Out. When we last heard substantive comments from CM Punk, he had just eaten copious amounts of muffins and cookies and baked goods. And of course, during that period of time, he changed the course of AEW history. This time, however, his comments were admittedly more flippant. However, his off-the-cuff response to a rib from his current colleague was enough to make fans of AEW take note. On commentary for an, easy for me to say, MMA event, CM Punk's commentary team partner cracked a joke, first about Punk's injury status, to which Punk replied, "Everything is hurt, I'm nursing everything," also doing this with his arm, proving that his tricep wasn't too bad even though he had surgery on it about last month or so. When they went on to tease that they were hoping to create a new professional wrestling organization and looking for a big signing, Punk interjected, quote, "Oh, I'm bad news. You don't want me in the locker room." To which the fellow broadcaster commented, "Yeah, that dude will mess up your entire organization. I like working here, man. Don't let him do any press conferences," as CM Punk laughed along. CM Punk, of course, remains off of AEW television after having been forced to vacate the AEW World Championship after there was an altercation between himself, Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, Ace Steel, and others in the aftermath of All Out. He subsequently also tore his triceps in the main event of All Out, so he would have been forced to vacate the championship anyway. He is still recovering from said tricep surgery. He's also still currently suspended. The latest that we have heard is that he's in the middle of negotiations with Tony Khan, reportedly looking at a buyout of his All Elite Wrestling contract. There are also rumors and discussions he could possibly return to WWE with a potential dream match against WWE Hall of Famer Stone Cold Steve Austin being rumored for next year's WrestleMania in Hollywood, California. Whether or not that happens remains to be seen. But it certainly is significant, being the first time Punk has actually spoken publicly, at least hinted at what happened at the Now Arena in Chicago. Certainly, again, this is probably the most we're ever going to hear CM Punk talk about what happened, because even if he does leave AEW, which it looks like is going to be the case, likely he will be forced to sign an NDA, as is the case with Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, who have also been told they cannot speak about what happened in Chicago following All Out. So these kind of comments, the tongue-in-cheek comments with Punk doing his MMA commentary, is probably the most we're going to get on the matter. Speaking of Punk, though, one thing we know he won't be at is Full Gear, but another thing we know he might not actually be involved in now is the upcoming AEW video game Fight Forever. We've got some new information, some new details on AEW's first ever console video game, and it may actually imply that the two-time AEW World Champion is not going to be involved. After a new sneak peek at the new AEW video game, AEW Fight Forever, was released online, fans immediately noticed one major change. Has CM Punk been removed from the upcoming AEW video game? With the trailer featuring speaking roles for Jon Moxley, Hangman Adam Page, Chris Jericho, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, touting the gameplay, their in-game likeness are featured, while other characters are shown throughout the gameplay footage that could have depicted CM Punk. He was notably absent from any entrance footage. While previous images for the game feature CM Punk in the center of the proposed cover art, it appears that has also changed as well. Instead, featuring front and center of the graphic displayed at the end of the teaser, the same one you can see on the screen right now, is Kenny Omega. As I mentioned, Punk broke broke his silence on the drama surrounding him, albeit in a jovial manner on commentary. Meanwhile, when it comes to the Elite, Kenny Omega, in addition to Nick and Matt Jackson, are set to challenge for their vacated AEW Trios World Championships at the AEW pay-per-view Full Gear tonight, live on pay-per-view. Now, the trailer itself, I will say it's quite funny because it depends what people look for when it comes to video games. Because if you're looking for realism and realism in terms of graphics, I don't think we're going to get that from this video game. Now, a lot of people have said, well, I don't care about that. You know, some people are saying the game doesn't look that great in terms of, again, graphics. Some people said, I don't care. They say, all I care about is it fun to play? Does it work? Is it not glitchy? We don't know. I saw Sean Rossap post a tweet saying that the game plays a lot like No Mercy, the famous game, arguably the gold standard of professional wrestling video games. And look, if that is the case, if it does play like No Mercy, then I think people would be very, very happy considering how revered that game is. And of course, the people that worked on the No Mercy video game are working on this video game. It was the point from the beginning to make it play like No Mercy. So if it plays like No Mercy, then I think AEW will be very successful. However, No Mercy was a long time ago, and nowadays people like to have the combination of a good playing video game, but also a game that's good to look at as well. And you could argue that maybe where this game does have a bit of a downfall, I'm no gaming expert, so you can let me know in the comment section below, what do you really look for in your wrestling video games? Is it about the gameplay? Is it about the graphics? Is it about the combination of the two? Is it about the storyline modes? Is it about the online gameplay as well? Let me know in the comment section below. When it comes to the removal of Punk from the cover art, I think that's obvious, is it not? They couldn't have Fight Forever come out and have CM Punk front and center while he's suspended and actively negotiating a buyout of his contract. That would be ludicrous. That would be bad business. And this is a game that's going to live for the next year, 2 years, and you can't have someone front and center that's not even going to be with the company in the next couple of weeks or months. Again, it's bad business. So it totally makes a lot of sense from AEW's perspective to remove Punk from the game. I'm sure they'll be somewhat disappointed with that because Punk being front and center would probably sell a ton of copies. Punk being put on anything has done good business for AEW, and I'm sure they'll be frustrated with that. And I don't know the expense of removing Punk from the video game. I don't know if it's as simple as just taking him off the roster and nobody can play as him. I don't know if he was featured into any extensive storyline modes on the game. That might be a possibility. Frankly, I'd be surprised if it wasn't. But it is what it is. That's the Punk situation. The Punk situation is that everyone's a loser. Punk loses money. AEW loses money. They lose a character for their television show. They lose a character for their video game. Nobody wins in this situation. And the AEW Fight Forever is just the latest example of that. Last night was Rampage on TNT, and we saw a surprising heel turn on the show. Not so surprising if you've seen her recent matches, I suppose, but on AEW Rampage, a heel turn that has been teased throughout AEW programming became obvious after a vicious, surprising attack on a referee. Getting molten hot heat after her match, Athena seems to have finally turned heel on last night's edition of AEW Rampage, kicking off the match by drop-kicking Madison Rayne before she was even done playing to the crowd. Athena's heelish ways were discussed throughout the match. Gone were the smiles and amplified was the intensity as she ended up winning the match handily. Afterwards, though, while still beating down Rayne, beloved AEW referee Aubrey Edwards attempted to get Athena to cease the attack. At that point, Athena shoved Aubrey Edwards as the crowd went wild with their boos for the former NXT superstar. The attack would not go unanswered, however, as returning from injury, the Ring of Honor Women's Champion Mercedes Martinez will have to stay tuned to AEW's upcoming pay-per-view Full Gear to find out who will be the AEW Women's World Champion or Interim World Champion by the end of the weekend. While the title remains in an interim status at the time of recording, Tony Khan has recently discussed making Toni Storm's AEW Women's Championship reign official. We'll still have to wait and see when it comes to that. As far as the heel turn for Athena, it's good for her, and it would suggest she's going to be feuding with Mercedes Martinez for the Ring of Honor Women's Championship. Of course, Martinez has just come back from an injury. She spent 5 months on the shelf dealing with her injury. Ironically, there was no interim champion crown then. You could argue it's because there's no Ring of Honor weekly television series. Nevertheless, some people are pointing out contradiction or hypocrisy on the part of Tony Khan there. I don't think it's that deep, but certainly people like to point to that. I would suggest, though, that it would mean maybe Mercedes Martinez versus Athena at Final Battle in December. Of course, that's Ring of Honor's next pay-per-view, and certainly that'll be a match that will be very interesting to see. Speaking of Full Gear this evening, we have several new matches announced for the show, plus an update on some ticket sales and some possible spoilers. And 2 matches for the AEW Full Gear 0 Hour have been made official on last night's episode of Rampage. Ahead of tonight's pay-per-view Full Gear, the 0 Hour comes together. After winning his World Title Eliminator Tournament match against Lance Archer, Ricky Starks will face off against another former partner. Brian Cage stands between Starks and an opportunity to gain an opportunity to challenge for the AEW World Championship at Winter is Coming. Whoever wins between Starks and Cage will go on to face Ethan Page to determine who will win a title shot at the AEW World Championship at the special edition of Dynamite in December. Whether or not they will face MJF or Jon Moxley, however, remains to be seen. That will be decided in the main event of tonight's pay-per-view in New Jersey. Elsewhere, on the AEW Full Gear 0 Hour, a spooky VHS was played to tease a mystery partner for the Best Friends against the Factory. After the Factory's vicious assault on Danhausen, perhaps it could be him who is being teased as the very evil, very mysterious mystery partner for Chuck Taylor, Trent Beretta, Orange Cassidy, and Rocky Romero. And lastly, after AEW Rampage went off the air, Eddie Kingston was on the mic and challenged Yun Akima, yelling for Tony Khan to come out and make the match official, and Khan did just that. Therefore, the match will take place at Full Gear 0 Hour. Speaking of the pay-per-view extravaganza this evening, though, as well, AEW President Tony Khan has confirmed that the AEW Full Gear pay-per-view has officially passed $1 million in live gate revenue. This marks the first time that a Full Gear event has had a live gate above the $1 million mark in the company's 4-year history. Khan took to Twitter to note that this is AEW's 4th pay-per-view in a row to do so, however. Khan wrote, quote, "Tonight's hashtag AEW Full Gear pay-per-view is officially over $1 million live gate. It's the first time Full Gear has ever topped $1 million in tickets. Tonight's AEW's 4th straight pay-per-view over $1 million live gate, 5th time total in 2022, including Grand Slam. See you tonight for Full Gear." The November 19 pay-per-view will emanate from the Prudential Center in Newark, New Jersey. The AEW World Championship will be on the line at the event with MJF to challenge Jon Moxley for the gold. MJF will receive his shot after cashing in the poker chip he won in the casino ladder match that took place at All Out in September. Certainly that would be good news for AEW with that $1 million gate. He had been teasing that a couple of days ago, I think 24 hours ago or so it's no surprise that AEW have now hit that number. And I guess it's kind of a pushback to those that are saying that AEW are struggling at the moment. Of course, the ratings for Wednesday's edition of Dynamite were not good. The product itself is cold. They've got a lot of injuries and a lot of backstage drama going on. But one thing you can't overlook is they are still making money. As I mentioned, pretty much nearly every single pay-per-view they've done this year, bar Revolution, has done over $1 million in terms of the gate. As I mentioned, they've had several shows this year that have done it, whether it's Double or Nothing, All Out, Grand Slam, and now Full Gear. Now, they've achieved that by not selling more tickets. They've done that by raising the prices, but still, it's good business for AEW. However, there are still issues when it comes to injuries, drama, and the product being cold, but certainly I don't think Tony Khan will care too much if he's making this amount of money still, allowing the business to make significant amounts of money. Now, a potential spoiler has actually emerged on an unannounced surprise appearance, possibly for tonight's AEW Full Gear pay-per-view. So if you don't want to be spoiled, I'm going to give you 5 seconds or so to skip to the next part of the video. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. As per Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select, AEW sources have confirmed that the House of Black members, including Malachi Black and Buddy Matthews, are in town for AEW Full Gear. Fightful were unable to confirm whether or not there are plans for the group to do anything at Full Gear. Of course, Malachi Black hasn't appeared on AEW television since the September 4 All Out pay-per-view. Following the event, Black took some time away from the ring, during which he confirmed that he had asked for his release, but noted that Tony Khan didn't grant his request. Shortly thereafter, Buddy Matthews announced an in-ring hiatus at an independent event on September 24. While Brody King didn't publicly announce a hiatus, the third House of Black member hasn't wrestled since he and Matthews lost to Sting and Darby Allin on the September 23rd Rampage Grand Slam special. King notably performed with his band God's Hate in Brooklyn on November 17. Vignettes hinting at the return of the House of Black have recently aired on AEW television, with the promo package from the November 18 edition of Rampage showing the faction members beating up sparring partners. Some have speculated that the House of Black could return during the AEW Trios Championship segment. Of course, tonight, Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, the Elite, will return to challenge Death Triangle triangle for the gold. Certainly what one could see happening is the Elite winning the match, winning back the Trios Championships, and then being confronted by the House of Black to begin a new feud on AEW television, the Elite versus the House of Black. That could certainly be a lot of fun, and it must be said, I thought the vignette that aired last night, the promo that aired last night, was absolutely fantastic. I thought it was really, really good and actually a lot of fun, and I would be really interested to see the Elite versus the House of Black. I suppose the only issue there would be the Elite aren't dropping the championship so soon after winning them, so that could be certainly an issue moving forward when it comes to that. KC Navarro is a name recently that's got quite a lot of buzz in pro wrestling, and an independent wrestler who is being targeted by WWE is the aforementioned Navarro. He's been making waves in the wrestling world this year, competing for many notable companies such as Impact, MLW, Warrior Wrestling, and Defy. The 23-year-old talent was reportedly on WWE's radar after Fightful produced a feature on him recently. Those within WWE reportedly considered giving Navarro a private tryout, but in an update from Fightful Select, Sean Ross Sapp is reporting that Navarro was actually backstage at last night's AEW Rampage show. KC Navarro has wrestled several matches on AEW Dark during his career, primarily during the COVID-19 pandemic. He is the brother of AEW star Diamante. Per previous reports, Navarro has been considered for a private WWE tryout with the independent star on WWE's radar. WWE's interest in Navarro comes after the change in edict within the company, with them now once again scouting independent talent for potential developmental deals in the company. Finally, we have some news on Jeff Hardy, and his legal issues are still ongoing and don't look to be resolved anytime soon. Jeff Hardy's pre-trial hearing for charges of DUI have been delayed more times than a big-budget blockbuster stuck in developmental hell. Originally scheduled for August, the hearing was then moved to October, before then being moved to November 17. And if it seemed like the trend was finally going to end on Thursday, think again. PW Insider is reporting that Hardy's pre-trial hearing once again didn't take place as scheduled on Thursday. The reason? A continuance filed by Hardy's legal team seeking a delay, which was ultimately granted by the judge. Hardy's pre-trial hearing is now set for December 21st, with Hardy scheduled to appear, with the trial date having been moved several times before, however, and reports suggested that Hardy's team and prosecutors are potentially working on a plea deal. It's feasible that the trial date may not come to pass either. The delay is yet another twist in the saga of Hardy's latest arrest for DUI, his third in 3 years after he was pulled over by police in June, the morning after attending a wrestling convention in Florida. Video would later emerge from the convention showing Hardy, who has battled substance abuse issues for the majority of his career, drinking while performing a concert set. He would plead not guilty at the end of June. The delay in the case seems to suggest that Hardy's absence from AEW, which he joined in March, will be continuing. Hardy has been suspended by AEW since his arrest, with AEW CEO Tony Khan stated he could not return until completing treatment or maintaining a certain level of sobriety, with Khan even referring to those steps as Hardy's last chance. Hardy has since sought treatment, though it's unknown if he's completed it. So fingers crossed, look. What everyone wants is for Jeff Hardy to get better and get back, but he has to figure out these legal issues first, and most importantly, figure out his substance abuse issues as well. But there you go, guys. That's the latest AEW news for you this evening. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right hand corner. Don't you worry, we're going to have full gear coverage. We're going to have a post show later this evening, plus reaction videos as well. So don't you worry. If you subscribe now, you won't miss a single thing. Let me know your thoughts on today's AEW news stories in the comment section below, and I'll speak for you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.